God, I hadn't heard this one in a long time. And one of those, one of the beauties of counting down my fantasy playlist, I come across songs I haven't heard in years. Such is the case with the tune at number 16, a hip hop record by Salt and Pepper with Champagne, number 16. Peeked it out at number 16, fantasy playlist of October 26, 1996. That hip hop record was from an action comedy film called Bulletproof, which made about $22 million. That's its gross, but it was panned pretty hard by the critics, and it starred Adam Sandler and Damon, I think it's Damon Wayans, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, Wayans. And the soundtrack of this movie, I mean, the who's who of hip hop, the 90s who's who of hip hop. Uh, Rex and Effect contributed a tune to that soundtrack. Rex and Effect, remember Rump Shaker back in 1993. Lost Boys had a joint off that CD. And Nonchalant had that hit something like 5 or 6 a.m. back in 1996, 1997. That was just a badass rap record. Dina Howard. Anybody remember Dina Howard? Ooh, my goodness, Dina Howard. Yes. She had that huge hit, Freak Like Me, in 1995, although she did have a couple of others out as well. Dina Howard, she had it going on. Oh, my goodness, I remember her. I don't think I'll ever forget Dina Howard. Dina Howard, she had also a track off that soundtrack to the Bulletproof, uh, to the soundtrack of Bulletproof, the movie that came out in 1996. Let's go back a little bit on Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper, I remember their first hit. I believe 1987, late 87, early 88. It was Push It. Here's the thing about Salt and Pepper. They were just absolutely beautiful. They were gorgeous. Overwhelming sex appeal. It's like, my goodness. They were coy, they had edge, and they did these male baiting lyrics on Push It, although the song itself was written by men, by a couple of guys. One of them was Herbie Azor, the guy who uh, discovered Salt and Pepper. He also discovered Kids and Play, getting into that New Jack Swing jams from back in the day. Remember that? And gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the hit records by Salt and Pepper over the years. Their heyday was in the late 80s, early 90s. There was Push It, Let's Talk About Sex, also written by Herbie Azor, song about safe sex, came out in the fall of 1991. Shoop, 1993, and their Opus, What a Man. They did this. This is absolutely glittering entourage of absolute talent and super sex appeal. We're getting into Victoria's Secret's territory with Salt and Pepper doing that song with In Vogue. What a Man. Late 93, early 94, one of the most infectious R&B records back in the 90s. But we come to Champagne in 1996, and it did not do as well as some of their previous singles, although it did go top 20 in New Zealand and Sweden, went to number 22, number 23 in Great Britain. But I guess they sampled Love Roller Coaster by the Ohio Players. They did have a falling out with Herbie Azor, the guy who discovered them, because they were not happy with their royalty payments. And they sort of faded out a little bit in the late 90s, and that's probably due to this that there were new up and coming female rappers who were on the rise, like Lil Kim in 1996, 1997. There was Missy Elliott started becoming really big in 1996. Remember the Brat from back in the day, back in 1994? And although I believe it was the three women in that group, there was Cheryl James, she was Salt, Sandra Denton was Pepper, and Deidre Roper, I believe is her last name, she was DJ Spinderella. And believe it was Pepper. It was either Salt or Pepper. I can't remember who married Treach of Naughty by Nature. Remember Naughty by Nature when they did Hip Hop Array and OPP? Boy, remembering those hip hop jams from back in the 90s, including this one by Salt and Pepper at number 16 with Champagne.